Hi, I'm Helga from Helga's Pennsylvania Cooking. And you know what time of year it is. This is my yearly tradition. And I'm actually delighted that some of you look forward to it too, because you know Christmas is one of my favorite things. So I have another Christmas story for you this year, like always. I didn't get quite as many videos out as I wanted to over the Helga's Happy Holidays. There's still a couple to come as we go into New Year's. This year has just been challenging. It's not been bad, just challenging. Between the work challenges and overtime and schooling and extra projects at the farm, and I've been sick more this year than normal. It's just really, I just have no time. So I'm just getting over another asthma attack again. So anyhow, it kind of short-staffed me a little bit, but you know, we'll get back into it. I actually took the spring semester from school off to give myself a little bit of a break. Not that that'll probably still be much of a break, but it's going to help. So I wanted to thank everybody who has sent cards and recipes. I always look forward to this. Some of these cards are really gorgeous too. That's a really pretty one. That's from Sue Harding, and Sue was so thoughtful that when she went to a restaurant store, she saw something that she knew I needed, and she got it for me. So Sue, thank you for the juniper berries. I don't have to go searching around, and this comes in handy because this year's beef is due to come in here in another month, and I'll be making sour braten again. Then I got another one here from, let's see, this one is from John and Ken, and they sent me a pretty card. I love the pretty cards like this. And I was really happy they sent me this recipe because this was something I was actually thinking about and trying to remember from like my childhood. And this is a fruit cocktail cake that has the fruit cocktail and sugar, and it's got the glaze. And this was a really sweet treat, and I actually was kind of looking for a recipe like this, so I can't wait to do this. Thank you, John and Ken. I appreciate that. Then another one came in from Rich and Daphne and Gizmo and Mona. Aren't they the cutest? I mean, you know I love my fur babies, so I always get a kick out of that. And she sent me a recipe from another YouTuber for potato chip cookies. I have not had these, but I can't wait to try them because nothing in them sounds bad. So I can't wait to give that a shot. That's the other thing, you always get the variety. Then I got a new Stollen recipe. Let me see here. Yeah, I got a new Stollen recipe from Jennifer Warden and family. And she sent me the pretty cardinal. And this is a little bit different than the recipe that I have, so I'm eager to try it. And it's probably going to end up on the list for next year's holiday videos. I just have to start making them like in July. And then my other one here is from Peggy Kreibel from North Carolina, and she sent me two, one for a broccoli cheese casserole that's different than mine, and blueberry salad, which I can't wait to try, and a couple cute snowmen. So thank you very much for those that have sent. I think I have returned all but one so far. That'll go out in the mail tomorrow, so you'll get that pretty soon. As you know, I really appreciate that you share yourselves with me like that. It makes, when I'm in the kitchen doing these videos, I'm not just talking to the camera or to a screen, I'm talking to you guys. So it's nice to put faces and pets and everything else to, you know, the people that come to my channel and look for recipes. So, for this year's story, I think you'll like it. I like it. I like stories like this. You'll notice a theme through most of my Christmas stories. And the title of this story is called A Christmas Rifle, unknown author. But I think you guys will enjoy it. My dad never had much compassion for the lazy or those who squander their means and then never have enough for necessities. But for those genuinely in need, his heart was as big as the great outdoors. It was from him I learned the greatest joy in life comes from giving and not receiving. It was Christmas Eve and I was 15 years old and feeling like the world had caved in on me because there had not been enough money for the rifle I wanted so badly for Christmas. For some reason, we finished our chores early that night, and after supper, I stretched out in front of the fireplace, feeling sorry for myself. Dad bundled up and went outside again. I couldn't figure out what he was doing since the chores were already done. I didn't worry about it long because I was too busy wallowing in my own self-pity. Dad soon came back in. It was a cold, clear night and there was ice stuck to his beard. "Come on, Matt. Bundle up good because it's cold out." Now I was really upset. Not only was I not getting that rifle, but he was dragging me out into the cold again for no earthly reason. The chores were done and I couldn't think of anything else that needed doing, especially on a night like this. But Dad was not a patient man, especially at dragging my feet when he asked me to do something. I think that just runs in farm and country families overall. After getting dressed, Mom gave me a mysterious smile as I opened the door to leave. Something was up, but I didn't know what. Once outside, I got even more upset. There in front of the house stood the work team already hitched up to the big sled. Whatever we were going to do wasn't going to be short or quick. We never hitched up the sled unless we were going to haul a big load. The cold was already biting and I was not happy. After pulling around to the back of the house, Pa got off and went into the woodshed, coming out with an armful of wood. The same wood I spent all summer cutting and splitting. Finally, in subdued anger, I had to say something. "Pa, what are we doing?" "You been by Widow Jensen's lately?" he asked. "Yeah." Well, Widow Jensen lived about 2 miles down the road. Her husband died about 2 years ago, leaving her 3 children, the oldest about 8. Sure, I'd been by there, but so what, I thought. "They're out of wood, Matt," was all he said, and he went back into the shed for another armful of wood. We ended up loading the sled so high I began to wonder if the horses could pull it. Finally, Dad called a halt to the loading and went into the cellar, and he came out with a big ham and a slab of bacon. He handed them to me to put in the sled and then told me to wait. When he returned, he was carrying a sack of flour in one hand and a smaller sack of something in his other. "What's in a little sack?" I asked. "Shoes for the children. I got them some candy, too. It just wouldn't be Christmas without a little candy." We rode the 2 miles in silence, and I tried to think why my dad was doing this. We didn't have very much by worldly standards either. Of course, we used to have a big wood pile until all this. We did have plenty of meat and flour, so I knew we could spare that, but we didn't have much money, so why was he buying them shoes and candy? Really, why was he doing any of this? Widow Jensen had other neighbors much closer than us, so it shouldn't have been our concern. We came in from the blind side and unloaded all the wood as quietly as we could and then took the meat and flour to the front door. We knocked. The door opened a crack and a timid voice asked, "Who is it?" "Lucas Mills, ma'am, and my son Matt. Could we come in for a bit?" Widow Jensen opened the door and let us in. She had a blanket wrapped around her shoulders, the children were wrapped in another, and were sitting in front of the fireplace by a small fire that hardly gave off any heat. "We brought you a few things," Pa said, setting down the sack of flour while I put the meat on the table. Pa then handed her the sack that had shoes in it, and there was a pair for her and each of the children. I watched her carefully. She bit her lower lip to keep from trembling. Tears soon filled her eyes and started running down her cheeks. She looked at Pa and wanted to say something, but it wouldn't come out. "We brought you a load of wood, too," Pa said. He turned to me and said, "Matt, would you go bring in enough to last and let's heat this place up?" Wow, I thought. I wasn't the same person when I went out to bring in the wood. I had a big lump in my throat, and as much as I hate to admit it, there were tears in my eyes, too. In my mind, I kept seeing those 3 kids huddled around the fireplace and their mother standing there with tears running down her face, with so much gratitude she couldn't even speak. My heart swelled within me and a joy I've never known before filled my soul. Sure, I had given at Christmas before, but never when it made so much of a difference. I soon had the fire blazing and everyone's spirits soared. The kids started giggling when my dad handed them each some candy, and Widow Jensen looked on with a smile that probably hadn't crossed her face in a long time. "God bless you," she said, turning to Pa and me. "We knew the Lord would send one of his angels to help us." Well, my dad was a hard man, and I never really thought of him as an angel before. But after Widow Jensen mentioned it, I could see it was probably true. I remember all the times he went out of his way for Mom, for me, and for many others. Before leaving, Pa took each of the kids in his arms and gave them a hug. They clung to him and didn't want us to go. I could see they missed their father, and I was glad I still had mine. At the door, Pa turned to Widow Jensen and said, "We want to invite you and the children over for Christmas dinner tomorrow. We will be by to get you at 11. It will be nice having little ones around again, and Matt hasn't been little for quite a while." Back out on the sled, I felt a warmth that came from deep inside, and I never even noticed the biting cold. Once on our way, my dad turned to me and said, "Matt, I want you to know something. Your mother and I have been tucking away a little money all year so we could buy you that rifle you wanted so badly. But we still didn't have enough," he began to explain. "Then just yesterday, a man who owed me a little money from years past came by to square things up. Your mom and I were real excited, think we could now get you that rifle. I went into town this morning to do just that. But on the way is when I noticed Widow Jensen was out of wood and saw our oldest scratching around the woodpile, his socks sticking out of worn-out shoes. I knew what we needed to do. Son, I spent the money on shoes and a little candy for those children. I hope you understand." My eyes became wet with tears. I understood very well and was glad he had done it. That rifle suddenly seemed pretty low on my list of priorities, and my dad had given me much more. He gave me the look on Widow Jensen's face and the radiant smiles of her children. For the rest of my life, whenever I saw the Jensens or split a block of wood, I remembered, and remembering brought back the same joy I felt riding home that memorable night. Yes, indeed, my dad had given me much more than a rifle. He gave me the best Christmas of my life. I actually wish I'd known who the author was. And it's funny, the stories that come like that of my dad's and others around that same time period in the early 40s and the 30s, when things were a little bit tougher and not nearly as convenient for everyone. But to me, that's always been the spirit of Christmas and what it's all about all year round. I'm glad that it's more focused on, and more people do it at this time of year, but really, we need to have that in our heart every day. So, that's my Christmas story this year. I'll probably have a couple more videos out, at least one more before the new year. And keep in touch. Enjoy your holiday. I hope it's a safe and merry one. And enjoy the new year. And thank you for all your support and being out there and coming to my channel. I've made so many new friends and met so many neat people and heard so many neat stories from all around. And it's wonder how food and culture just can bring just about anybody together. Happy holidays. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year.